Bethesda.
Alright, do you want to get into it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, if they don't put fucking Doom up on Steam, then Doom is gonna be dead again, and that.
No. People
No
will
one's
find
gonna-
Doom.
People do not want to buy games not on Steam. Like,
Well, that's their fucking problem for being stupid.
yeah, I know, but like,
You're really gonna give up Doom Eternal for your weird launcher agenda? Fuck off. Just
but
open
also
up
like
the-
Bethesda is so
Jesus.
dumb in like, oh, we're just gonna get all the money for us. Like, if you put it out on the Bethesda launcher, you get 100% of like, 100,000 copies sold. If you put it on Steam, you get 70% of 500,000 copies sold. Like, that's better business. It's simple business.
Yeah, Bethesda.
Apparently, the CEO of ZeniMax, which is the parent company, is a nightmare person. So
Yes.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hello.
And
welcome to another review roundup. Do you want to go with that? Do you want to go with one of our podcast stars where we just merge in, no formal intro?
That's fine by me.
Just getting messier as the years go on.
That's good.
Me and Jamison are back again to do another long, talky podcast type thing. We are rounding up the games of November.
November-ish.
We might be blending in some games that we missed because during Red Dead season, a couple of games came out that didn't go under our radar. Well, one did for me, but we just didn't really have time for. Red Dead blocked out 3 weeks of playing games. So we haven't kind of figured out which ones we're going to be talking about. But by the title, you can see which ones we decided. We almost definitely will be talking about Return of the Obra Dinn, and there might also be the Gwent game Thronebreaker in there. If you've heard that sentence, then it is. Otherwise, Jamison's cut this out.
Yes. Indeed.
But we are going to go... I don't think this is chronological. Is this chronological, starting with
No,
Fallout?
we're starting at the bottom and working our way up. Let's be honest.
Yes. I think we wanted... You recommended starting with Fallout just to get it out of the way. Because...
Yes.
Yeah. So with Fallout 76, I want to do my best to maybe talk about some things that people haven't focused on as much. Because it's been talked about so much. And, we could go into how shitty the game looks. Cool, because it looks like shit.
Mm-hmm.
We could talk about how it's buggy. We could even go into the bag fiasco, which has happened recently. There's a lot to talk about with Fallout 76, but I think everyone's heard everything by now. We should clarify that I've played a small chunk of the game. I think I probably put 25 hours in.
That's pretty good chunk, I would say. That's a full game's worth of game.
Yeah.
I would,
And you were a smart boy, and you bailed during the beta.
I played about 5 hours of the quote-unquote beta. So
You saw the
take
storm
that
coming.
as you will. Yes.
So I'm going to start in a strange place.
Please do.
I am going to start with things I like about the game. Holy shit. What a twist. Someone saying something positive about Fallout 76. While it lasts, because, we're going to get into it. So, Fallout 76.
Positives.
This is a very weirdly
Cricket sound
formatted.
plays.
Yeah, this is a weirdly formatted review because again, we could go through it very conventionally, but everyone's talked about some of the stuff. So I'm doing this one a bit weird. But anyway, onto the positives I have for Fallout 76. I actually really like the new leveling up system, the the card system. It really looked, and I think it was intended for future monetization.
God, can you imagine?
It stank of monetization, the way it's formatted. But I don't think they're going to get away with that. So I don't think it's going to be. You would hope
they don't try.
They might try. I don't know.
Yep. At this rate, I don't think it would surprise me at this rate, honestly.
But I do like it. There's something quite satisfying about... I know it's not cool to have randomness in leveling up, but just kind of looking through the cards, mixing and matching, and being able to stack stuff and merge them together to get better perks and levels is kind of fun and satisfying. You do unfortunately have to install a mod if you want to have more than one build. Say you wanted to stack your cards so you're a tank, and then you wanted to have a different loadout so you're a bit of a medic, depending on, the scenarios.
Yeah.
You cannot do that in Fallout 76. You would have to replace every card individually. There is a mod. I haven't tried modding the game because I don't know how that works yet. Don't know if you get banned. Don't know if Bethesda is okay with it.
Bethesda knows how it works either.
So I haven't tried that, but
I'm surprised there's not like a save preset option. That would be...
There is not.
Yeah, that seems like a bit of an oversight, but...
Yes. Well, that is how this whole game went, really. Yes, I like the leveling system. Boom! 1 positive out the gate.
Check it off the bingo list.
Oh, okay. I have one more.
Okay. This is like when I talked about Mass Effect Andromeda. It's like, here are the things I positive.
I actually really like the map. I think it's got a lot of fun places to explore. I don't remember any of the previous Fallout maps doing interesting scale. There were like skyscrapers in Fallout 4 that you could climb up. But this map has some like big things, big power plants. There was a drilling facility which had one of those crater excavating quarry type things you see in a lot of sci-fi. There's one in one of the Destiny 2 raids, like the massive drills that spin around. There's one of those sites, and the map just has some really fun scale to it. It also has some pretty cool random encounters with some big beasties, like the Scorched Beast. I think there's a Mothman out there somewhere. And there's some other beasts that appear. And I just think the general exploration of Fallout... I was going to say Fallout 4, but just Fallout in general is still there. And I've always liked it. It doesn't engage you for that long. But every now and then I just get in the mood for... Just for a wander, to be honest. I like to put on the radio and have a little explore. And be like, oh, I found a cave. And I think that novelty of gameplay has stayed with me ever since I played like Oblivion and Skyrim and Fallout 3 and New Vegas. I just find it fun to wander around and find unexpected stuff.
Yeah.
You're not going to find NPCs. Again, everyone's talked about that, so I won't go into that too much. But I do think the environmental stuff is pretty varied and interesting. There's like frozen areas, and there's the usual radiation shit, and there's a lava area with mines. And
does it feel, they said it was 4 times bigger than Fallout 4. Does it feel that big? Because when I was playing with you guys, remember I said I'm just going to like wander up here. And I feel like I opened the map and put a marker that was a long ways away, and I got there in like 3 minutes.
It actually does feel quite big.
Okay.
Because there is a lot of locations to explore. Unfortunately, there's not really much to find in the locations.
Yeah.
Not really much to find. I will say that the novelty of playing... I've said novelty too much, but I find playing the game with a person, a friend, a co-op buddy, to be a pretty unique experience. There aren't many co-op action RPGs of this scale. They just don't exist yet. I don't know why. Maybe they're a nightmare to make. Maybe I just don't know about them. But I played a couple of sessions with Ben, and I really enjoyed them. Maybe not because of the game, just because it was fun to explore an environment with another human being.
Right.
I quite like the loot system. It's really stingy with weapons, which at first, for the first 10 hours, is kind of frustrating. You're just using a pipe pistol, and you're like, I'm sick of this pipe pistol. But because they're a bit more stingy with the weapon handouts, when you do get a new weapon, it's really kind of exciting. You're like, oh, like, you know that feeling in Destiny when you've been maining a weapon for like 20 hours and you finally find something new and it's like, ooh, there's a new weapon in my hand. Fallout 76 has that feeling. And I like that.
Is it more feeling like that feeling when you beat a boss fight that you really don't like and you're like, thank God I never have to do that again? Is it like, thank God I never have to use this piece of shit gun that has a rate of fire of like 1 per minute?
Yeah, kind of.
It's like relief that you're not using a pea shooter.
I feel like that's still a sense of progress.
Sure, I guess so, yeah.
This game's like Stardew Valley, where you're like, I don't want to fucking water these plants every day. It's a nightmare. And then you finally get the sprinklers, and you're like, oh, yes!
That's true,
sprinklers.
Yeah, you're right.
Overcoming an annoyance is still a sense of progress.
Yeah, you're okay. Yeah,
So
the Stardew
I
Valley
like
is a good comparison because that's a similar thing of like, thank God I never have to water these again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But unfortunately, even though because of those qualities, I have managed to have fun with Fallout 76, I am still on the internet's side when it comes to the rest of the game. Just because I'm quite tolerant when it comes to rough games doesn't mean that I am on Fallout's side or on Bethesda's side. This game is an unfinished piece of junk, to be completely honest. It's almost borderline insulting to ask for $60 for this thing.
It is. Yeah.
And I want to talk about something that I don't know. I think some people have talked about it, but a lot of people are just mainly focusing on the bugs and the fact that it looks like a game from 2013. One thing I want to talk about is it feels unfinished in its general design and format.
Yes.
It feels like it's in the very early experimental stages. Like you're in behind the scenes of Bethesda and they've only just started talking about PvP, VATS, and how to balance the solo experience and the co-op experience. And this is the first build after that meeting.
Yeah.
And this would be what you expect like 2 years ago.
This is like the environments should have been in like gray box state where it's just like you've got the gameplay systems up and running. Now let's figure out content. Yeah.
Because the problem is it doesn't work format wise for anyone really. No. I played some of the game solo, and I didn't think the NPC stuff was going to bother me because in Fallout 4. I really love the NPC stuff in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. In Fallout 4, I didn't like the NPC stuff. I thought the characters sucked, I thought all the dialogue sucked, and I didn't care about the story. And I still managed to have fun in Fallout 4, even though I wasn't into that aspect. So I was like, you know what? I like exploring, so whatever. I shrugged that off, but playing it solo, it really is quite tedious to play on your own. Just, even though some of the robots have personalities, and technically they are NPCs, there's a spark missing from just having robots and terminals to talk to over and over again, and maybe one super mutant merchant. There's just something really missing, and I don't just mean obviously humans. Like there's a spark and energy missing from the game, and it's quiet for longer periods of time when you're playing solo, because the other people don't really interact because there's not much reason to. I have heard of some people having fun party experiences where they party up with a stranger. I have not encountered that personally. Most people who are fans of Fallout are solo players. You know, no CSGO people have bought this game to, go into the PvP. So most people just keep to themselves. So I don't really see other players. And when you do, you just kind of like nod your head at them and then just go on your own way. So
especially because you've probably turned voice chat off because there's no push to talk option, which is a terrible idea.
Solo play, the world feels really empty and quiet, and the pacing doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
But when you play with co-op, they are trying to push story on you through numerous voice logs and text boxes. And I guess a text thing, that's a way of delivering some aspects of a story. But the opening of the game is maybe the worst opening of a video game I've ever played.
God, it was awful.
It's so bad. Because I think most people... Actually, I don't know this, but a lot of people jumped in with their friends, because that's the new thing with Fallout 76. And there are so many voice logs, or whatever you call them.
They asked me to record this about how to boil water, so I'm just going to ramble in your ear for the next 45 minutes about the time where I was out boiling water with the...
And there's so many of them that they overlap each other by the time you get to the next one.
God, it's awful.
Like, one hasn't finished by the time you find another one.
It was making me feel like I was going crazy.
Yeah. And if you're playing with friends, it's like, what do you do? What if you're in a party of... I can't remember what the maximum party size is. 4 or 6 people or something like that?
Sure, yeah.
Like, are you supposed to just tell everyone to shut up? Because it's not...
Joe, I'm listening. I can't hear the story, Joe. Quiet.
Shut up, yeah. It doesn't play for the party. It plays for just you. So you have to, tell your friends to shut up or mute them. And it's the most unsociable story format ever. And it's a multiplayer game. It's such a... it feels so early in its design. It feels like it's in the figuring it out stage, like they're experimenting. Like, VATS is nonsense. It's really strange VATS.
Oh, God, yeah. I've seen that.
And I don't understand how they mess it up, because we played some Red Dead Online, and they have Deadeye, where you auto-target someone, and it doesn't pause the game. And it just works. It just looks kind of natural. But in VATS, like, the gun doesn't point where someone is, and it just doesn't make any sense. It looks so bizarre. And the PvP is just a disaster, which doesn't make sense to me, because lots of other games have figured out PvPs. Also, they've made an MMO. I know it's not the same company, but they're parent companies, right? The Elder Scrolls Online people.
Yeah.
You
Elder
just send
Scrolls
them an
Online is
email.
part of the Bethesda family.
Yeah, they can send them an email and say, how do you do PvP? Oh, well, in MMOs, usually we have a PvP zone. You go into the zone and you can do PvP. And outside the zone, you can't, fuck with each other. It's like, okay, that makes complete sense. But instead, they made this strange poking system. And it's so weird and immersion breaking when you're just like prodding someone with an RPG and like taking off this nugget of health. And then when they instigate the fight, you take damage immediately. So they can just walk up to you, taking no damage, and shotgun you in the face, and you're dead. And then you respawn next to them. And it's like... so much of this game is unfinished format-wise. That's what I wanted to talk about. Yes, the game is hideously ugly. Yeah. Not just from, like, low textures. I just think the aesthetics are quite messy and not nice to look at times. Actually, sometimes the game looks okay. I'm going to give it some credit. There's this, like, autumnal orange light, which hits the trees sometimes. And I'm like, this looks good. But a lot of times the game doesn't look good. Mm-hmm. And it runs like garbage. And it's obviously a console port. Because navigating the menus, you can't use the mouse. When you didn't do building. In building, you have to press Z or C to go left and right. You can't click left or right with the mouse. It doesn't do anything. It's been ported from the console, and currently it's a mess. I haven't played it in like a week, but I'll get back to it.
Yeah, like they did the same thing that they've always done, which is just sort of fart the game out onto PC with no respect for the fact that the PC has a very different control interface, which is how they've done it for many years. Skyrim was a mess on mouse and keyboard. Fallout 4 was the same way, and you instantly went and searched out a mod to make it better. Yeah. And it's the same way here. They're just like, there's a few PC games like that this year, but Fallout 76 was definitely the worst, where it's just like, this is a nightmare to navigate. Like, what is it? Escape opens the map, and then you have to hit like C to go to the options menu. Like,
I think like Z is social as well.
It's so bizarre, and the Pip-Boy UI is just, it's still so terrible. Like, it's just so bad.
This game is...
That was... Yeah.
You go on. You go for it. You go.
Okay. I was going to say, like, what you said, which is, there's lots of good, entertaining news videos and shenanigans about Fallout and how bad it is, and it sort of feels a little bit like the Mass Effect and Andromeda situation, where it's like, it's so buggy and unfinished. Everyone's ignoring the fact that, like, the worst thing about it is that it's fucking horribly written. Mm-hmm. And then with Fallout, it's like, I feel like people are forgetting the fact that, like, the game is fundamentally, like, I have no idea who the game is for and what they were thinking. Yeah. Because, like you said, PvP is garbage. PvE is, crummy. Solo experiences are bad. Co-op experiences are bad. There's no quests to do, or, there are, but they're like fetch quests, and it's all weirdly storytelling through audio logs. And every single part of it, I just look at it and think, I have absolutely no idea what they were thinking with this game. Like, I have no idea who it was for.
It's one of those games, it's very comparable to No Man's Sky. Because when No Man's Sky came out, I think there was a lot of anger, but people also just wanted answers. Because it was so far off what was promised. Yeah. People just wanted to know what the hell happened. And like, it's like, with No Man's Sky, you could kind of piece it together. You're like, they had this strange, not really publishing deal with Sony, but they had a relationship with Sony, and it was like a strange market. I don't know what was going on with Sony. No one could really figure it out, but they had something with Sony. And we were like, well, there are small studios. They were probably just like under pressure from Sony to publish it at this date, and they weren't ready, and they just didn't control it very well.
They ran out of money, like they've said so. They were.
Are they? Oh.
Yeah, they just straight up said, like, we ran out of money.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Bethesda's a stranger, because even though Fallout 4 wasn't that great, they have a pretty clean track record so far. And
yeah, for sure.
I don't know much about the publishing company, which is Zenith, right?
ZeniMax is like the parent
ZeniMax.
company of Bethesda, and then Bethesda Game Studio. It's such a weird thing because they have two companies with the same name, basically, you know?
Yeah, but I don't know how much control they have, because I thought Bethesda published their own stuff. I thought they self-published. So if the game's not finished, it's not like with Andromeda, where you're like, EA was probably breathing down their necks.
They did,
The main team is working on Anthem, so they're just like this small, there's just like no
Mass
answers.
Effect and No Man's Sky both make sense as to how they turned out the way they did. No Man's Sky was a very, like, I understand everyone's, and I also experienced the extreme disappointment and kind of like feeling of fraud with No Man's Sky to an extent. But like, I thought it was easy to forgive because at most it was like a 12-man team, and they were like trying to be very ambitious, and it exceeded their grasp. They still built a game that has a 15 quintillion planets. Like, there are things even about launch No Man's Sky that were still impressive to some degree. Mass Effect, like, it was just a B team that was underfunded. Like, EA just gave them no resources, and then they forced the game out early.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, I can understand the business and sort of forgive it a little bit. But Fallout 76, it's like, okay, Bethesda as a whole company makes a lot of money because of Elder Scrolls and Fallout and Skyrim.
Yeah.
Fallout 4 sold like crazy, and they're a huge team with a lot of resources. And I mean, I don't know what their finances are like. Maybe they needed a big hitter for this fall, but a big team with big resources putting out a game that is this poor, that has no ambition, is like pretty inexcusable.
Yeah, it's like baffling for them. It's very confusing. I've even seen conspiracy videos start to pop up. Because there's multiple things about the game that are confusing. Not that just it's incredibly rushed, but that it's so dated looking. And we talked about this on the podcast. Yeah. It's not about the graphics being bad. It's just the fact that the engine seems to have gone backwards. Yeah. Which I've never seen happen in games over the course of 3 years. It looks worse
than Fallout 4.
It does.
Like, I played Fallout 4 on PC, and it's certainly an ugly game at times, but there were, like, it looked fine, I thought, for the most part, when it came out on PC. It was like, and even at times it was kind of nice looking, because there was some good art and, good draw distances, and a little bit of PC tweaking pushed it, but like, 76 just looks like shocking. It's shocking to me when I saw how bad it looked.
So I actually watched a conspiracy theory video.
Oh, good. Okay, yes.
And it was kind of interesting. The long story short was that Todd Howard had a very ambitious look to the future. He wanted to do Starfield, and he wanted to do Elder Scrolls 6, and he wanted to make them the most ambitious thing that Bethesda has ever done. And then this guy had a theory. I maybe should link the video to this because it was kind of interesting. He had actually quite a lot of inside business knowledge of this stuff. And he was talking about ZeniMax. And apparently it's not, even though Todd is lead man, he's boss man, it's not that easy to just be like, I want to hire 200 more people and I want to, chuck X amount of money into this.
Yeah.
He doesn't like overrule.
He's not the head of the company.
He's not the Mr. Chairman. He doesn't overrule
he's not
the
Mr.
people.
Number one, yeah.
So apparently the theory is he went to ZeniMax and he's like, okay, will you grant me this crazy expansion of Bethesda games if we pivot Fallout into this multiplayer, very profitable machine?
Yeah.
And then they were like, yes, okay, we give you all the people. And then the theory continues that most people are currently working on Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah.
And
Starfield, yeah.
And Starfield. Maybe simultaneously or not, I don't know.
Sounds like, yeah, whatever.
And Fallout 76 was not intended to be such a disaster. It was never intended to be a masterpiece. But it's just like a plot that really kind of got out of control. Because the negative PR has been, the worst since No Man's Sky. Is being catastrophic.
Yeah. Like that, from all that business-wise, makes sense. That's what companies are doing. And it makes sense to put out a big cash cow, and Fallout is their cash cow, and Skyrim, and so that you can fund development of more ambitious projects. Mm-hmm. The problem, though, is that where I get confused is like, again, what the fuck were they thinking with Fallout 76?
Yeah.
Like, I understand and think the idea of it all is very good. But the thing they put out is an abomination. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, companies and CEOs and business people are very detached from reality, I would say. That's been proven many times over the last few years. And if there are actually people inside Bethesda and ZeniMax that thought 76 was okay and that it was going to make them lots of money, which they have to have. There have to have been people that thought that. Then those people are out of their minds. Like, they're so far detached from reality that it's, like, just shocking. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, and it doesn't help that, like, the game was terrible. And then they've just had, like, 6 weeks or 5 weeks of just endless bad PR blunders on top of that. It's been incredible.
I forgot to mention, in the theory video, the engine did come into it. Because apparently updating the creation engine, this guy said it might be like $100 million to upgrade the engine, which I have no idea how accurate that is.
Pull it out of your ass, yeah.
Maybe just pulling that out of thin air, but apparently it's very complicated to update an engine. So Todd, in the theory, wanted funding for that as well. So
yeah, but like, I mean, everyone updates their engines as they go. That, like,
yes,
all the stuff with the engine shit was dumb in a sense, because, like, oh, they're still using the same engine for the next games. It's like, well, I mean, Call of Duty and is still, like, the Destiny games are still built on the Halo engines. And
you can update any software.
Exactly, you update and rebuild to, like, the Gorilla with what the fuck is it? Horizon?
Can't remember.
Horizon is built on the Killzone tech. They just rebuilt it to work to do what they need to do. Like, you build on top of things and rebuild. But, like, the engine thing also comes into an argument where it's like, well, yes, you would think they would have done that, wouldn't you? But then you look at Oblivion, which I've seen you've been playing these last couple of days.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it, actually.
Oblivion to Fallout 76, like, technical and visual, I bet there's not that big of a difference. Obviously they look very different, but, like, they haven't progressed their technology at all in, like, 10 years, it feels like. And it really shows. Like, it really shows. And I don't know what... them saying we're using the same engine for the next two games was a very dumb thing to say out loud. They should have just said, we'll keep updating things. Don't worry about it. And you'd think that, like, maybe with the progression of time and a lot of money from Fallout 4 and a lot less things going on in Fallout 76, that it would at least look a little better. But it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's shocking as well to see the E3 chat from Todd, where he just, like...
Yes. That was weird.
Like, they're just lying. Like, it's just
They must be
false. Like, 16 times the detail? No. A reworked lighting and rendering engine? Like, no, dude. It looks as bad and worse than Fallout 4. Like, it's... I mean, but graphics are only part of it. I just think, fundamentally, I just have no idea who it's for or why they made it. I mean, I know why they made it. I just don't know who it's for or what they were thinking with their... I hesitate to even call it design of the game because there's so little there.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've pretty much touched on all the points that I wanted to bring up. I like some of the game, and I even intend to play a little more with Ben because I genuinely have fun wandering around. But it's not one of those games where once I've seen the map, I ain't coming back ever.
Yeah.
I'll just be done.
Yeah, I just... My 4 hours with it was probably the most boring time I've had with a game. I just couldn't figure out why I would want to play it solo, and I couldn't figure out why I would want to play it with you guys, because we weren't doing anything together. I wasn't interacting with any other random people because I have all the voice chat muted, and the quests were a boring slog, and I was like, well, why am I playing this? And then they gave me a refund, thank Christ.
I do think it gets better with time, because right at the beginning, it's just the fucking scorched for like 15 hours, and they're so annoying to play against.
They don't really have AI either. Like, they just sort of run directly at you.
And if you are like maining a bolt action rifle, holy shit, you better have a shotgun and a lot of shotgun shells for the first 15 hours because like a bolt action rifle is useless. Yeah. But like I've wandered out a bit and I'm using some better weapons. I found my first set of power armor and I am managing to have some fun. But it just doesn't forgive the sins that they have committed with this game. It's very anti-consumer, this game. And I think the internet is right to not really stand for it.
No, yeah, totally. Fuck this. Like, there's nothing worse to me than a game that is made with a complete lack of love or respect for anyone that's ever bought their games. Like, it feels like they made a game without love for the IP, which people adore, and it feels like they made it with a complete disregard for, like, they just they just presume everyone's just a cow to the slaughter. Like, just come buy it, you pig. Who cares? It's Fallout, fucker. Give us your money. You'll buy whatever we sell you. And it's like, no, like, you can't get away with that. And there's nothing worse than just a company farting something out so blatantly to try and get money from you. And that it's also full of microtransactions as well. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
It's an abomination.
Yes. We're going to see in the future if there was some plan. Was this for a bigger cause? Is Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 going to be glorious? We will have to see. But if there was like no bigger objective and Starfield comes out looking rough, oh boy, it's going to be a rough future for Bethesda. Because there's some good-looking RPGs coming up. The thing from Obsidian announced yesterday looks cool. Cyberpunk's going to fucking destroy everything. So not only is there more competition in the RPG genre now, because they used to kind of dominate it.
Oh, yeah. Open world RPGs were their thing. Yeah,
the world is like waiting. And Starfield, they have to nail it. They really
They have such an uphill battle to sell people on their next game, I think. Especially because their next game isn't Elder Scrolls. It's a new IP and no one knows about it. So it's like, they have really, they did it all to themselves, you know, like, and they've spent the last like 6 weeks or what has it been? A month since the game came out. There hasn't been anything really like in terms of what the plan is with 76 either. I mean, not that I've seen. There've been a few patches for sure.
They have been talking about making the game, functional.
But
there hasn't been any content plans about DLCs, etc.
Which is kind of crazy that they haven't put like together, a roadmap of like, hey, if you're gonna fart it out like that, and then you should at least own up to it. Like, come on and be like, okay, you're right. We've heard you. We're working on optimizations. Those are going to happen, over the next 3 weeks. Then we're going to get to like fair, PC. We're going to rebuild the UI.
They did release a statement.
Okay, that's good.
On the subreddit. They didn't explain why. They were just like, we are hearing you. We're not communicating good enough. We will have these updates you want very soon, which was push-to-talk, stash size, because it was tiny.
Yes.
And there was a couple of other things, performance.
Yeah.
But they didn't really give people the answers they wanted, which is, why did you push it out? Why is it the way it is? And what were you thinking?
If this game was $30 or $40 and it was in early access, and it was still, it was Fallout 76, they were just like, we don't really know what we're doing. We know it's a mess. Here it is for a lower price, and we've tagged it with early access. It would be a lot more acceptable.
Yeah.
But that they are treating it just like a normal full-price AAA video game is just astonishing. And, we needed a good villain this year, I guess. We didn't really have one. EA stepped up to the plate big time last year, and Bethesda just sort of came out of nowhere, and we're like, it's us, baby. We're the villain this year.
Hold my beer.
Yeah.
Unfortunate, because I was highly anticipating Fallout 76, because as I said, I've wanted a online action RPG like Bethesda stuff since I played Oblivion. And even though Fallout 4 was not as good as I wanted it to be, they still had a fine track record of making fine games.
Yes, 100%.
So
Fallout 4 is their only blunder, really, and it's not even that dramatic of a blunder.
I just never expected it to be this disappointing and bad.
Yeah.
But, you know,
yeah,
there will be a big, awesome co-op action RPG one day. Someone's going to make it, and I look forward to it.
Yeah.
I do find it funny that the next thing they make is Starfield, because not only does it have to be amazing, but it has to be better than Outer Worlds.
Right. Yeah, they have to
'Cause
compete
Outer
with their
Worlds
old competitors.
It's
basically.
Fallout in space.
Yeah.
Like, they're not even ashamed of it. Because, you know, fuck
No.
it. They invented Fallout. Maybe not the 3D version, but, you know, people like New Vegas from Obsidian, so whatever.
Yeah.
They're making Fallout in space.
Bethesda has such an uphill battle. Like, it's
gonna be tough.
amazing, you know, especially also because it doesn't help that Red Dead came out like 2 weeks before it.
No, it doesn't at all.
And honestly, Red Dead Online is like all I needed from Fallout. Like, put in some basic story stuff, some cuts or some NPCs that send you out on basic missions, you know, and if you build an emergent enough sandbox, then basic story stuff is fun. It's fine. It's more than enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that one little mission we did up in the mountains was like 45 minutes, and that was great. And it was mainly just because the world is interesting. Mm-hmm. It, like, I'm just so astonished by Fallout 76. I have no idea what they were thinking.
It's a mystery for now.
Yeah, and I'm fascinated to see what the next 3 months are like, what the next year is like, and then longer term what Starfield is like.
I mean, No Man's Sky's had a comeback, so there's hope for everyone, I guess.
I suppose, yeah.
Maybe.
Crazy.
What a twist, though. What a fun twist.
Yeah, I don't know if fun's the right word, but it's certainly a twist.
It's been a nice, you know, car crash to spectate.
Like, they did a good job of selling it at E3 as well. Like, which I guess is, you know, Todd is a good salesman.
He is, yeah.
And their E3 pitch was, like, kind of convincing.
Yeah, country roads, take me home, I'm down.
It's certainly the hottest mess of the year, I would say.
Yes.
And
It's got to be one.
It just keeps going. It's amazing. Like, it's like, what's going to happen next? What dumb Bethesda news is going to come out next? You know, there was the
Leaking
security breach the other
yeah.
day. Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, boy. All
Tire
right.
fires can be entertaining to watch from a distance.
They can.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving
That's
on from Fallout 76. Maybe we'll do a Fallout 76 1 year later like we did with
Joe, I'm never playing Fallout
I know.
again. I can't do it.
I know. Until Starfield, then. Until Starfield. But next is Hitman 2. The follow-up to Hitman 1.
Again.
Again.
Hitman 1, 2. Hitman 1, 2016.
So I'm going to start.
Okay.
I'm going to start. So, I could not get into Hitman 2 at all.
Really?
I was not feeling Hitman 2, and I feel really guilty about it.
Because you liked the first game.
I did like the first game. And I felt this is the first time I felt guilty about not getting into a game, because I still genuinely, objectively believe the game is fun and the format's really fun.
Yeah.
But I played the first map, which is awesome. I think it's the best one in the entire package.
Probably, yeah.
Because it's got one of the targets is in not NASCAR, I don't know what racing thing it is.
A Formula something.
Formula
car.
something, whatever car.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool map. I found it annoying to navigate, but apart from that, it was great. And then straight after I played the second map, and I was like, this one's, kind of feels like the same. And then I had no interest by the third or fourth or fifth. I was just, for some reason, to me, I hit the repetition wall really quickly with Hitman 2, and I don't know why. Because I loved Hitman 1, and it's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, this is, for all intents and purposes, just Season 2 of the Hitman 1. Yeah.
And I think maybe for me, I think the episodic format was what made it work for me.
So fascinating.
And it was the thing that everyone complained about, and they changed for the second thing because everyone...
Probably for the better, I think, for the sort of wider audience, I think.
Yeah, but I understand from an outside perspective why people thought the episodic release, whatever you call it, was taking advantage of people and it was looking for extra money. But if you actually played the game, it made more sense because they all play exactly the same. No, exactly is a harsh word. They all play very similar. The format, seek the targets, find out a fun way to take them out, follow the story, or just, do your own thing. And they all kind of play out exactly the same. And when you play them back to back to back, I just was finding it very repetitious. Because I'm not very good at going solo in the game. I mess everything up. And then I end up just messily just chucking something at the target. So I usually follow the in-game missions and stories because they're fun. Yeah. They lead you into unique scenarios, and then there's an execution at the end. But by map 2, or maybe map 3, I kind of just felt I was playing it only to see how they died, almost like a Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah,
it felt like the process just wasn't that inspired, and the labeling of 2, I think, misled me to feeling like it was going to play at least a little bit differently.
Oh,
and it really is the exact same experience. And I do wish... I really want this to be the problem was me and not the game, because I feel for these guys, because I think the game's great. I've loved Hitman since the PS2 era. But I do wish they'd maybe just added a little something to mix up just a bit. There was a scenario on the last map where there were 2 guys on an edge of a cliff, and they were having a chat. So it was like a scripted moment. They're having this scripted chat, they're having a conversation. And I go, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to push both these guys off the cliff, assuming that it would work, because it's all set up for it. And it doesn't work. I just push one guy off the cliff. I'm detected by the guy next to him, obviously. And I'm in melee combat, which is quite loud, so people all around me have been alerted. And it was just kind of disappointing that there just wasn't something. And right then I was like, double takedowns. That's something that Assassin's Creed did a while ago. That would have been a neat addition. Maybe a screwdriver in each hand and,
Or just a push, when they're both standing there. You just walk up behind the 2 of them and push them you have 2 hands.
Yeah, and I feel guilty. I feel guilty about not having a great time with this game. And I've never really felt like that before. Because also, I think of myself as quite a forgiving guy. I had fun with Fallout 76, for fuck's sake. I'm quite forgiving. Yeah,
something's wrong with you, that's for sure.
Thing is, I wasn't like, oh, this game sucks. I just wasn't feeling it.
So the episodic format was a special thing that worked for you then.
I really think it did. Yeah. And I also, when Hitman was being released slowly over 2016, it was exciting. I used to get really excited for another chunk of Hitman. And I would play each map 3 or 4 times and then just wait for 2 more months. I loved it. And I don't think releasing it all at once worked for me. Because it's not the format. It's not the format. I still think it's fun. I think the game actually looks really good in my new rig as well. It looks great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it has a fun sense of silliness, the way you can just chuck weapons at people.
Funny. Yeah.
And, there's the Easter eggs of flying off as the flamingo. The game has a fun charm to it.
Amazing.
But there's just something about maybe what I'm looking for in games at the moment, or the formula where I just couldn't get into it.
I bet it sounds like it was the episodic thing that really made the first one work for you, which is really interesting. Yeah. I will say regarding it being functionally more or less identical to the first game. I mean, again, that's more of it's sort of just business that happened, Yeah,
I'm not asking for much. Just a little, a little something.
Well, I mean, this was definitely, this was just supposed to be, the second season of more of the first game's content, but then all that dumb business shit happened, and I'm glad that, they were able to even put any more Hitman out, which is cool. Mm-hmm. And I think for, in theory, putting it out all at once on a disc is better for business. Unfortunately, they put it out at a busy time of year and no one has bought the game. And there are certainly a few small quality of life changes, with the way they just sort of color code stuff on the map on the left-hand side, which they actually did that to the first game last year. So they were continually updating and adding mechanics to Hitman 1.
Yeah.
And those have carried into 2, and then the only new thing I can think of is the mirrors now work, which is that hasn't gotten in my way once yet.
No.
And maybe they will add more mechanics down the road, but you saying that the episodic format worked for you is neat, because in playing Hitman 2, realized that the episodic format is what got in my way.
Yeah. I can tell from your playtime compared to the first game. We've almost flipped reverses. I think I put about 20 hours into Hitman 1. I don't think you played it much. And I barely scraped Hitman 2 before hitting the wall.
Yeah, so I think Hitman 2 is amazing, and I have had it all click with me.
That's good.
In a way I never thought it would happen. And
that's good.
In reflection and trying to understand why it has clicked for me, I think it is because it's all here at once. And when Hitman, the first season, was coming out, what I would find myself doing is I would play through the map, have a great time. Like once in a while, I might do an elusive target. Even then, I think I only did maybe 2. I would play the map, have a great time, and then think, well, I've got like 5 weeks to mess with this map before the next one comes out. I'll mess with it next weekend. And then the weekend, I'll mess with it. Oh, I didn't get it. Oh, I'll try. Okay, I'll mess with it the weekend after that one. And then the new map would be out, and I wouldn't have touched it. And then I would just repeat the exact same thing over and over again. I'd play it through once. I would trick myself into thinking I would play it more before the next map comes out, and then the next map would be out. And with Hitman 2, all of it being there, I basically just committed myself to putting time into it to experience that. I basically, I did the normal thing, played through all the maps once, had a good time, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to go on to the tutorial map, the nighttime house mission, which is a cool mission, and I'm going to do everything on it, and I'm going to see if I enjoy that. And and that works really well because it's a small map. There's only 10 or 15 things. It's half an hour to get everything done. And that was when it was like, oh, okay, I get it now. And that has basically allowed me to find the pleasure of Hitman. And it is mainly just me forcing myself initially to put time into it to try and see the brilliance that everyone else has seen for a while. Not that I didn't like the first Hitman. I had a great time with it, but I didn't spend tons of time with it. And now I have already doubled my playtime from all of Hitman 1 in 2.
Yeah,
and
have you been going back to the Hitman 1 maps, just out of interest?
I have played... Okay, so here's where it went. I played through it all once. I did everything on Hawke's Bay, and I was like, that was cool. I wish I had a silenced sniper rifle. Because I did the thing where you snipe the lady from the grass, which was a challenge, sniper assassin suit only. And I was like... And it was really hard because it was an unsuppressed sniper rifle. So what I would have to do is, when you blow the truck up to escape from that map, this is what also switched me to mouse and keyboard. I shoot the thing to trigger the explosion and timed my sniper shot to the explosion, which happens like 0.5 of a second after I shoot it initially with the suppressed pistol. And basically, that's how I managed to do it. And I was like, well, that was a nightmare, but I did it. That was cool. And I was like, I need a suppressed sniper rifle. So I go through all of the mastery challenges to see what the unlocks are for. And I found the Colorado level from Hitman 1 has a suppressed sniper rifle at like level 10 or 15 or something. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to chase down this sniper rifle.
Oh, and then you can take it into other levels.
Yes, whenever you unlock something, you can bring it into any mission.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I spent a bunch of time on Colorado unlocking the suppressed sniper rifle. And then... all of my time since has just been basically on Miami, and I haven't done anything else on any of the other maps yet. I've spent like 15 hours on Miami alone.
Wow.
I've done almost everything on Miami. I'm max level on it. I've unlocked everything. I've pretty much got the whole thing memorized, and it's amazing. It's so... I've really found great pleasure in...
mastering it.
In mastering it, yes. I have a good brain for like map layouts and stuff like that. And so it's sort of suited to the way my brain remembers things, and I'm good at remembering where things are and how to get to them. And it's been really fun to master the map and be like, okay, I know exactly where this thing is that I need. I know I need to grab this here and what the route is to get there. And I can do it all undetected in my suit if I need to now because I know where the cameras are. And it's really enjoyable to do that. And I've also, in doing that, I also realized that Hitman is weird, like, Rube Goldberg clockwork puzzle game of trial and error and experimentation. And it's not really a Hitman. You can play it as like a Hitman simulator if you want to, but it is a kind of ridiculous, very video gamey trial and error clockwork puzzle game. And that realization also has brought me to enjoy the game more than I ever thought I would. I appreciate how much it is just a video game. The fact that you can be starting to be detected by someone who's suspicious of you and you just crouch in front of them and they're like, oh, no problem. Hitman 2 is one of the funniest games I played in a long time. It's just so like naturally, effortlessly funny, and everything Agent 47 does is he's so stoic the whole time, and it's so funny. And other things like the fact that you can complete challenges. Like, let's say you have a challenge, like there's assassination challenges where it's like, kill this person by knifing them, shooting them in the head, blowing them up. You just get in a position where you can attack the guy and save your game, shoot him, reload, snipe him, reload, blow him up, and you unlock all the challenges regardless of when you reload. As soon as you complete the challenge, it's unlocked. And it's just like, well, that's dumb. That's just such a video game thing to do. I should have to like complete the level to have that count. And I think that's how it was initially with Hitman 1, actually. I could be wrong, but it's just like, they don't care. It's just unapologetically video gamey. And it's just about, most of the decisions are made to just like, what's the most enjoyable decision we can make? We don't need it to be like a hardcore thing. And I have had a really, really fantastic time with Hitman 2, and I'm glad that I was finally able to find the magic of it. Because it is a really amazing game. Both the first or the second. And the fact that the second one you can pay like $25 and get everything from the first game in it is also, like, there is so much content in Hitman 2 if you want it. Which is really exciting to me. Like, I will probably play it for months.
Cool.
Yeah. I've had a phenomenal time with it.
I feel bad because I really like them as a company as well. I just want them to do well.
Yeah.
And I want to support them. And I don't know why my brain just isn't clicking with it this time.
Yeah, that's too bad.
It's like
it's fascinating, though.
It's the first time in a long time where I'm like, this game is good, but I'm not into it. It's a strange one. I'm usually either just enjoying a game, or I miss it completely, or I just hate a game. This is a very strange scenario where I like respect and enjoy the game. We did a little Facebook video for it yesterday, and I enjoyed that session.
Yeah.
I just, the motivation to like learn the levels is for some reason gone. I had that with Hitman 1, and I got pretty good at, not all of them, but quite a few of the levels, and I played a bunch of them, especially Paris, the fashion show.
Yeah.
I know that map like the back of my hand. I don't know if I just didn't click with the maps, because I can't tell if this is like a biased mindset because I enjoyed the first one more. I don't know if it's like rose-tinted glasses, but I do think I liked the first set of maps more than the second set of maps.
Yeah, I haven't played enough, I don't think, to say that for sure, but I can definitely see that. Paris and Sapienza are amazing.
So good.
I think like Miami is amazing, but I haven't played enough.
I like the weird Japanese map at the end of Hitman as well. That was a bit different. And there was one more. It's gone from my memory, but
the Vermont level in Hitman 2 is really cool.
Yeah, it's different.
And I actually really like the final level because it's so crazy and ridiculous.
Oh, what's the is it Bangladesh? The really exotic one. I can't remember where it is.
Oh yeah, the Bangkok Hotel one.
That's it.
Hitman. Yeah, that
one looks so good.
Yeah.
And for some reason,
I don't know for sure if I like which game I like the levels more in because I haven't played enough of them. Yeah, so. But I can definitely see the first one having, more better maps.
It's just one of those things where just my brain was the enemy. It just wasn't giving it to me. I just wasn't enjoying myself. I don't know why.
That's the same with Hitman 1 for me, basically. It's interesting that we've basically completely flipped.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's a combination of the format and just some time changing. Yeah.
I definitely think for me, if I'd played the first level, like I did not like when Hitman 2 came out, and then the second level was not even out yet, say it was coming out in January, I do think I would have enjoyed that a lot more. For me.
Yeah.
There was something really nice about always having a Hitman level on the way.
Yeah.
It was just like
you
nice
could,
little release thing.
trick yourself into having it be episodic.
I should have done. I really should have done. After level
Just
2,
don't play any of the other ones. Yeah.
I should have figured it out and be like, oh, okay, this is what my brain's doing. But I didn't, and I played all of them.
Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah.
I was like, why aren't I having fun? I don't get it.
That's a shame.
It is a shame. But I want to stand up for Hitman and say that I think it's me and not the game.
Yeah. I think it is better. It's a better game than the first one. The small quality of life improvements have go a long ways. Like just the fact that it's more obvious when you're trespassing or wanted and stuff like that. Just by making the callouts on the map more visible. Small things like that go a long ways to just making the game more pleasant.
And if anyone hasn't played it, I would very much recommend putting the full package, Season 2 and Season 1, on their wish list on Steam and just, wait. It will probably go on sale pretty soon because it hasn't done very well. Yeah. And it will probably go down to like $30, and that would be an absolute bargain the amount of content.
If you get all of the content for like under $50, it's an absurd amount of content.
There's 12 sandboxes, basically.
Yeah, and you could spend 20 or 30 hours on each of them if you wanted to. I have spent, like I said, about 15 hours on Miami alone, which is crazy.
I think for me, maybe if they mixed up the formula a little bit. I kind of enjoyed the sniper map. I did not try it in Hitman 1, because I think it was also in the first game, the sniper-only level.
Is that the one with the mansion?
Yeah.
Okay. There was a sniper-only level for Hitman 1, but it wasn't that mansion. I don't think.
But I quite enjoyed it. It wasn't perfect, because there's a lot of waiting around.
Yeah.
But just there being a bit of variance in the format. I was like, that was neat. I wouldn't do it again.
I really disliked that sniper mission.
It had problems. Because I didn't understand what the hell I was doing, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
It had like all these like
Here's
yellow...
the thing. You can turn any map into a sniper-only mission, Joe.
Not really. You have a vantage point I know what you're saying.
Oh, you'd be surprised what you could do with this.
I did find one in the last map, a vantage point.
Oh, interesting.
When we were doing our little recording, I found a clock tower you could climb up.
I did a run of Miami on the hardest difficulty with a suppressed sniper rifle, only in my suit, in 3 minutes, and I sniped both of the targets, and it was fucking amazing.
I saw one where he kicked one target off of a balcony onto the target
that's one
in
of
the
the
car.
challenges. I haven't figured out how
crazy.
to do that yet. Yeah.
And the game's so cool. Yeah. It's such a cool game.
It is, and it's so fun. Like, I can't stress enough how funny it is. Like, I have laughed out loud numerous times playing it. It's it's so good.
Basically, for this review, Jamison, just cut out whenever I talk, and then just put in your opinion, because I want people to play it, even though I didn't enjoy it.
It's a shame they released it when they did. It would have made more sense earlier in the year, or later next year, like in April or something. I don't know. It was a busy time of year to put a game like that out, and it's too bad because it is really very, very excellent.
Yes, you should play Hitman. You should ignore me.
It's a shame that business keeps screwing poor IO Interactive over. Like, I don't know how they survive for the next couple of years if they don't get bought by someone. I don't think Hitman makes enough money for them.
I really thought Hitman was a popular franchise from the last generation.
I thought that as well, but I guess not.
I don't know why it hasn't been carried by the fandom.
Yeah. Maybe it wasn't that big. Maybe
not.
Maybe it was big for 2 generations ago when a big game was like... relative to the size of all game industry stuff now.
It's a shame.
Oh, the house with the muffin lady in it is straight up... The basement is straight up labeled as the murder basement when you're in it. I noticed that a couple days ago as well.
There's some messed up executions in this. I think in the Mumbai level, I buried the woman in wet cement.
Oh my god!
It like blasted out of this funnel she was standing by, wet cement, and she fell into this pit and it just filled to the top.
Jesus.
Nasty. There's some nasty stuff in that game.
Yeah, it can be kind of
ruthless,
but it's also, oh my god. There's one mission in Vermont, I don't know if you did it, where you dress up as a real estate agent and try to sell a house to the target.
I haven't done that.
And you have or you haven't?
No, I haven't.
Okay, yeah. You dress up as the real estate agent and you bring the target into the house. And every room Agent 47 goes in and describes to the client, he's just like, this floor is very dark. It would be easy to hide stains on it. And he's like, the kitchen, prone to many accidents and sharp objects. Like every room he goes into is just like, how could I kill someone in this room? And that's his description to the client. It's so funny. The voice actor for Agent 47
He's a pro.
He's so good.
Yeah.
He is such a pro at staying completely straight through all this dumb stuff they write for him.
It's been the same guy for every single game they've ever done.
I know.
Which I like.
Yeah.
For like 20 years or something.
Yeah. It's really, really good. And it's sad that you haven't clicked with it, but I'm so happy that I have clicked with it because I felt like I missed out a little bit with the first game.
Yeah, I'm glad you clicked a bit because you didn't really feel the first game that much, and it's great.
Yeah. It was like number 12 on my top 10 or something.
I just don't want the franchise to die because there's not much like it.
No, there's nothing like it.
Like Assassin's Creed doesn't really feel that power.
You're not an assassin in that game.
It's like a power simulator where people don't know where you are and you know where they are and you're planning out their demise, and it's like this sick and twisted simulator, and I like it.
Yes.
It's dark and it's fun.
Totally. And I hope that they don't if they make more Hitman, I hope that they don't look at the financial failures of these two games as meaning that it's not good. Because I think the format that they have right now is so fantastic, and they can certainly add new mechanics, like you said.
I'd like that.
But I think the structure of the game is really a huge part of what makes it so cool. And they've certainly experimented with Hitman before, and maybe not to the best. Like Absolution was a weird kind of game. And
yes.
It would be sad to me, if we got no more Hitman. Even though, they're going to do 2 more maps, which is good, but
I will play
it would be tragic if there was not like a 3rd season of Hitman, or if they rebooted it and got rid of this format, because it balances like so many things really, really flawlessly, I think. Oh, poor Hitman. There've been a lot of good games this gen that have been
pooped on. Not pooped on me, but just financially haven't done well.
Just financially disasters, yeah, which is a shame.
Always
I don't know what the people want.
What do you want?
They don't want good video games, apparently.
No, they just want V-Bucks.
Yeah, you're right.
But let's get into something a little bit more positive for me, because I've been moaning the whole bloody time.
Finally, you big baby.
This happens every November. Last November, I was a miserable soul as well.
You're like, Wolfenstein's terrible. Odyssey's terrible.
No, that was... November was World War II.
Oh, ooh.
And Battlefront.
Oh. Okay, that's fair.
And also, I think in that one we did the Horizon DLC, and I didn't like it that much.
Oh, yeah, you just were like, I hate everything. That's my shtick.
I hated everything last November, and this November I've hated everything.
And it's the exact opposite for me.
Yeah.
This is like the best November in a couple of years for me.
But no longer. We're getting into an indie game which I feel like everyone's recommending, and I don't know if anyone's playing, but everyone should be playing it. And it is...
The smart people are playing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The good gamers. The Return? Or is it just Return of the Obra Dinn?
Yeah, just Return.
Return of the Obra Dinn. I think you should probably lead this discussion because I wouldn't have played it or maybe known it existed if you hadn't told me about it.
Hallelujah. I'm doing the good work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was. I think I maybe had glimpsed it on Steam like the day it released and was like, I don't know what this is. And then I saw the folks at Giant Bomb talking about it, and they said... All I needed to hear, and they said, it's from the guy that it's the next game from the guy that made Papers, Please. And I was like, And so I immediately went and bought it and started playing it that night. I liked Papers, Please quite a bit.
Me too.
I never even played much of it, but I really liked it. Unique game, kind of boring and tedious in a way I really liked, and a fantastic audio and visual presentation. And that is very much the case for this game in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It is another weird, tedious game with amazing audio and visual, and actually kind of an interesting story this time around.
Yeah.
But I knew nothing about it when I launched it, and I was pretty blown away by Return of the Obra Dinn almost immediately, because it has a really striking visual style that is then elevated by the audio design, which is immediately, like, the first thing you encounter is that the captain shooting the guy.
Yeah.
And the music turns on and the voice acting is all there, and it's like, holy shit. And so Return of the Obra Dinn is a weird one to describe. It's sort of an adventure game a little bit in the way you progress through the story. It's the story progression is very much like a walking simulator. You can just...
I'd say it's a puzzle game, personally.
It is a puzzle game, yes,
Yeah.
at its core. But if you wanted to just like see most of the story, you don't have to solve anything to see the story.
True.
You are an insurance. What's the correct word? An insurance
Investigator? I don't know.
Investigator. I don't know. You're an insurance boy. In the 1800s, a ship, the Obra Dinn, has drifted into port in England, and it is a ghost ship. There's no one left alive on it, and you are sent onto the ship to find out what the hell happened. There are 60 people on the ship, and you need to find out where they are, what happened to them. And you do that via a magic pocket watch that is given to you by a guy. They don't really explain where he got that from, but that's okay. You have a magic pocket watch, and when you aim it at a corpse, it takes you back to the moment of the corpse's death.
Yes.
And it is a freeze frame of their death. You hear maybe 5 seconds of audio, 10 seconds of audio preceding that moment. Sometimes some dialogue, sometimes it's just environmental audio design, and it's all black. And then you see the moment when they died, and it's a freeze frame, and you have about a minute to sort of walk around and look at things and take in information. And then from those freeze frames, many things come about. You get information about who these people are, what is happening, how they died, and then there will be other corpses in that scene that you can then basically... It's sort of like time traveling a little bit through... Like, you open one door, and then there are, like, other doors that open with inside, not literal doors.
Yeah, I think that was just designed so that there isn't 60 corpses on the deck, and you're like, where the hell do I start?
Yeah, and it is
they're
also...
all connected so that there's a cohesive story, and then by the end of the story, you're like, okay, I know how each person died and where I should start.
Yeah, and another key aspect is it's going backwards, basically, the whole time.
Yeah, you start at the end.
Yeah, the first thing you encounter is basically the very last chapter of the story. And each chapter, most of the chapters start near the end and work their way back. Some of them start at the beginning, but for the most part, the story plays out backwards. And it is your job to sleuth about and examine all these scenes and story bits and the ship, and use all of the knowledge you have, both in-game and out-of-game, to solve things. I solved a few fates of how someone died and who they were by their accent, or the way they spoke. Who they referred to someone else as can be very revealing.
Yes.
There are parts where you have to I solved several people by looking at a very tiny little number written on their bed frame.
Oh, really?
Corresponds to that scene is integral to solving things for me at least. And it could be 6 hours. It could be 25 hours. It's entirely dependent on you and your brain and how your brain functions and makes connections. And the game doesn't give you much.
No,
it's very much.
It's hard. I think that's important to say. For me,
yeah,
I think. I don't know if I want to criticize it, but the beginning tutorial is very gamey. It's very straightforward. I maybe read it out for people who are listening, because it's not really a spoiler since it's the first scene in the entire game.
Yeah.
But you go into a cabin, and the captain's fighting with people, and he gives some immediately very obvious clues. He's like, "My darling Abigail," pointing to the girl dead in the bed. "I shot your brother. I shot him with a gun." And he just shot someone with a gun.
Yeah.
So instantly it's very obvious. Abigail, she's dead. You don't know how. You see him shoot himself in the face, so you instantly get that one. And you know the guy outside the door is Abigail's brother. Mm-hmm. And from the information, I was like, okay, this is going to be a pretty gamey detective puzzle scenario. There's going to be a lot of breadcrumbs leading me from A to B. And then I went through the whole story, and I had 6 out of 60 solved. Yeah. And at the end of it, I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to know anyone?
Yeah.
And being completely honest, I wasn't enjoying the beginning because I just felt so lost and overwhelmed in a way that my brain found really frustrating. I think I just like breaking stuff down. I like logic, and just having like 54 cases to solve at once. I was just like, my head was spinning. And you have to learn yourself, not just how they died. You have to figure out how to even play the game. Because you have a notebook and you have pictures of the crew, you have a manifesto of what their roles were, and you don't really know going in how difficult the game is. So I didn't really think that was that important. And then slowly but surely, you're like, okay, I need to do some severe deduction here. The game isn't giving me jack shit. And I don't want to spoil too much, because I don't want to say how I solved X and Y. But by the sounds of it, there's multiple ways to go about deducing who everyone is.
Yeah.
But there are some moments in this game which will make you feel like a genius detective. There are some moments where you have a eureka, and you're like, oh wait, if he said this, and I remember this guy said this, then, oh.
Yeah, and one item clicks into place, and then like 3 other or 5 other or 10 others kind of domino over, and you're like, aha.
I'm going to be honest. You said that in the podcast. I didn't really have much domino effects.
Huh.
The whole time I was playing, it really felt like every time I was just figuring it out from scratch. I don't know if I didn't get a good route of solving, but I was kind of waiting for it to be like, oh, I solved this one, so because I know A, I know B. But that never really happened to me. I found them all to be its own unique puzzle. Personally,
a lot of them, I would say for the most part, a lot of them I would solve in like groups of 3 to 5. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, I would say 3 or 5. A lot of the times, I would find something, and it would trigger. It would sort of snowball for me. I would be like, okay, I know who this person is, which means this person can't be this person. Yes. So he has to be this guy because he has a German accent, so that must mean da 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 da, and there's 3 solved. It is such a cool, unique game.
It is maybe the most creative game of the year.
Yeah.
And I think now Lucas Pope might have the best indie track record on the market.
Yeah.
Because his 2 games have been, when it comes to innovation, like the best out there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I found Papers, Please to be the most fun game. It was
it's
extreme,
certainly not supposed to be.
It's extreme memory exam, and I found it really difficult.
Yeah.
But Papers, Please it went so far because it was like nothing people had seen before. And I hope that the same happens with Obra Dinn, because I haven't really heard much talk around the water cooler about Obra Dinn. I really hope people start to pick it up slowly, maybe over the next 2 years with sales and stuff, they check it out, because man, this guy, Lucas Pope, he's a smart geezer, I'll tell you that. He's a very, very creative guy.
And he made every part of the game.
Yes.
The only thing he didn't do was the voice acting. He wrote the music. He didn't play the music because it's orchestral. But he wrote the music, did all the art. Everything was him. And it sounds like he was able to make it because of Paper Please. Paper Please funded this game completely. And he's said as well that if Obra Dinn has failed, it's fine. Because Papers, Please is his cash cow, basically. Mm-hmm. So he, it is such a singularly, it's so ripped right from his brain. It's just here is a man with a very unique vision doing everything himself and taking his sweet, sweet time doing it. And then you get this like singularly unique game at the end. And Obra Dinn came out like right when I was, it was like a week or two before Red Dead. And I was like kind of just not feeling I wasn't feeling very into games.
Well, you don't want to start something before another big project type thing.
Yeah, but like what I was going to say is like I was, I don't know, a little bored of games at the point that I was playing Obra Dinn because like Spider-Man and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and there were a couple other things that came after it that I was like, ugh. And then I played Obra Dinn and I was like, oh my god, video games are so good still. Holy shit, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's really good.
I had such a good time with it, and I actually was going to say I agree that I was kind of frustrated for the first few hours because I too, when I was done the story, I had I think 6 as well, and for the first like hour after that, I was like, what the I have no fucking idea how to go about this, and then I found my way through it and managed to beat it in like under 8 hours or something, which felt good. And I wish I had taken notes playing it because I didn't need to. I was keeping it all in my head, but I wish... if I were to replay this game with no memory, I would have a printout of all the people's faces, and I would jot like little weird notes beside them all. Like, this person is probably from this country, or this person makes this reference at some point. Like a proper detective, I guess. And,
yeah.
It's a hell of a game.
This game gave me some of the best puzzle euphoria that I've had in a very, very long time. Probably since The Witness.
Yeah.
There's some moments where you just feel like you have no information.
Yeah.
And then I remember, I think my most distinct memory was feeling completely lost. And then I went to the scene where there's a storm.
Sure.
And this is a very minor lead spoiler, like a puzzle lead. And then I was looking at all these guys in the crow's nest, because one guy gets struck by lightning up there. And I looked at the manifesto, and I saw the row of top men.
Yep.
I was like, oh my god, all of these guys are here! And then from that, it like spiraled, and the game doesn't push you in any direction. You have to find it all for yourself. And there will be times where it just feels completely hopeless. Yeah. And then you yourself have to deduce what is vital from the scene and from the book. Even stuff in a picture. Like, when I saw someone dancing with someone else, I was like, well, if that guy was, like, a lowly seaman, he wouldn't be dancing with her. That's the captain's wife, you know? You have to go crazy with this game. You have to be a real detective. There was even a time where I was in Google Translate, being like, where the hell is this guy from?
Sure, yeah.
And, like, you figure out one guy's Russian, and then you go back and you see who he's sitting with and who he's playing dice with. And, like, okay, so these guys are Russians. They must be.
Yeah.
And it's kind of brutal from a puzzle perspective. That's why you can tell it's made by one guy. If there was a team, they would have tried to gamify it and be like, oof, this is a bit, what if a casual, dumb person plays it? They're never going to solve this game. It's very much like The Witness. It respects your intelligence.
Yeah.
You gotta really think about things. Like, really think.
More than The Witness, this game relies upon you to have a good sense of, I don't know, like, it relies on you making a lot of assumptions as well. Like, the language part of it was a big one for me that helped me solve several, where it's like, okay, this guy is speaking with like what sounds like an Irish accent, and this is sort of an Irish sounding name, and turns out that's correct, and if you don't know that they speak German in Austria, you might think, where's the German guy on the crew manifest? But there is no German on the crew. He's Austrian.
But I think that was the point. They put no German on there so that if you didn't know the German-speaking countries, like I didn't, I had to go to Google. And I typed in German-speaking countries. And I went through and cross-checked it with a manifesto, and it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very unusual to have a game just be like, hey, it's all on you. You go for it. You solve every puzzle however you want. You can come to the deductions however you want. It's up to you. And you might not, you might not have a brain that like works in a way that is friendly towards solving the puzzles in this game as well.
I felt that way at the beginning. I I'm just like, I'm overwhelmed and I don't like this because I like things to be a bit more mentally organized, and it was overwhelming, but it was worth pushing through for sure.
Yeah, it is really excellent, and I think the story is really compelling.
Yeah.
There are some amazing moments of reveal in the story.
Yes.
I don't want to spoil at all where it goes, but they go some pretty wild places a few times.
Yeah, when you realize where it's going.
Yeah.
There's a certain chapter where I went down to a deck and I was like, what the fuck is going on in here?
Yeah, that chapter, yes. Those things, yes. All of that is crazy. And I was interested in the story and and again, I can't stress enough just how good and cohesive the like audio-visual package is. The voice acting is all tremendous. The sound design is really good. The one where the guy gets crushed by while he's out pooping.
Yeah. I think we should say quickly that it's surprisingly violent for the graphical style it has. I didn't think it would be able to portray violence, but some of it is disgusting.
One of them is like a guy gets his head, like he gets shot with a pistol from like, you know, the barrel of the gun is under his chin, and it like blows his brains out all over the scene. And
like
the
decapitations
music is,
and people exploding with a cannon in their face. There's some nasty ways that people go out.
Some of the people in this game get really nastily gored, for sure. And also the music is freaking amazing.
Yeah. I think my only critique of the game was I found with the system in the game, if you get... The game only tells you when you have got some correct, when you have 3 correct.
Yeah.
Which I think is a clever system overall.
Stops you from brute forcing everything.
Yeah. But even with that system, I still could brute force some when I knew 100% that I had 2 correct.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't think there was really a way for him to avoid that. Because if it had been 1, it would have been worse. You could have just kept going through. So I don't think there was really a way to avoid that. There was just a couple of times, like when I found the carpenter with his mate or steward, whichever one you want to call it. I was like, well, I know exactly who these 2 people are. So I kind of have a freebie now where I can kind of go around. I just know that I can go doop doop nope doop doop nope, and then it goes bob bomb. I'm like, okay. And that was my choice as a gamer to do that, to kind of exploit the systems. But because the game doesn't hold your hands, I was never sure if I was supposed to. The game tells you really nothing of how to play it.
Again, you know, it's just, if you want to solve it that way, I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way.
I didn't.
It's just less satisfying when you brute force it.
I shouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
I did brute force quite a few of them, and it made me feel guilty.
I would only brute force a few when I knew I had 2 correct, and then the third one I was very confident about, and I was like, okay, what is wrong for this third one? Like, I'm pretty sure the person is right. Is the death wrong? So there were a few times where I would experiment with that through brute forcing. And I think getting around the memories can be a little tedious at times. Where it's like, I kind of wish you could just click revisit memory from the book that you have.
100%.
But at the same time, sort of like The Witness, I kind of came to appreciate the downtime because I would use that to process things and think about things.
I don't know if you noticed, but if you just go near a corpse and press shift, it like flips to the page where they died.
Right, yeah.
So that was kind of a quick way to like walk to the body and be like, is it you? Okay, no, it's not over you. And then you can just go on the map and it shows you where the corpse is, which I like bottom deck.
Yeah.
But if you want to go from the book, like, would have been a nice quality of life thing.
Some of the memories you can only get to by like revisiting the other ones, and that can be a little annoying.
Yeah, I found the boat one to be a little bit annoying. You know, when they're off the ship.
Yeah, definitely.
You have to exit every time to get back to the last one.
Yeah. But
there's a
couple of little issues, but
a couple of things with like the pacing, but it's one of those games where if he had made more like breadcrumbs and made things more obvious, you wouldn't have the magical moments.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we've had this discussion for like 2 years now talking about when you should push players into things and when you should let them discover it themselves. Mm-hmm. And when you let them discover it themselves, there is the risk of frustration and getting lost and then just not finding them. And he formatted the game in that direction, I believe. And sometimes you have moments of feeling completely lost and hopeless. But when you overcome that and you have a eureka moment all on your own, it's some of the most satisfying puzzle solution stuff I've played in a long time.
Totally.
The puzzle genre doesn't get a huge amount of love. So this is one of the best puzzle games in years. And the most creative indie game of the year, for sure.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I would
It's
agree
great.
with that. Yep, it is really, really good. Highly, highly recommended.
Yes, buy it. Give Lucas Pope more money.
Yeah.
Let him keep doing his thing. God, he's a smart
Definitely.
boy.
And hey, he got, what was the best art direction, right, at the Game Awards? That very deserving of that.
He got something.
I think it was art direction, which
Yeah.
is appropriate, because it looks so unique.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
All right, we might as well
Yeah, I
continue
guess so.
on and do Gwent Thronebreaker, a Witch's Tale. How'd it go?
What is it? I know Gwent isn't in the title.
Okay.
Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales.
The Witcher
There we go.
Tales. Okay, the Gwent single-player campaign thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Which many people may not know exists, because they said they were going to make a single player campaign like 2 years ago, and then no one heard anything about it, and then like 2 weeks before the game was out, they're like, oh, it's here, it's called this, and it's out in 2 weeks, and then it came out like 3 days before Red Dead.
Yeah. Because I've only just managed to get a good chunk of playtime in.
Yeah,
I think
me too.
I played like
I've
2
only
hours
just-
before Red Dead, and then obviously haven't played it.
Yeah.
And I just started getting into it, and I haven't beaten it, but I'm like 20 hours in, and I think I'm coming towards the end of the game. I think. There's a surprising
Maybe.
amount of maps. I'm on map
bet.
4.
Wow, okay.
And
Yeah.
I
I just
reckon-
finished like the first sort of chapter, basically, where
Yeah.
you get, thrown out, basically. Lyria is complete. So, and I played it was like almost 8 hours, or 7 hours, I think, so.
So I don't think I'm not going to explain what Gwent is. If you haven't played The Witcher 3
it's a
by
card
now,
game.
that's your own problem. You should have played it.
Competitive card game.
But Gwent is a fun game. It's a really fun card game. And
Yeah.
I think they have done overall a really good job of making a long campaign story thing out of Gwent, because the format on pen and paper doesn't sound that appealing. Because when I played Witcher 3, I did enjoy Gwent, but I didn't think I'd enjoy it for 20 to 30 hours. But the game has really good pacing. You can probably see from the gameplay, you have this top-down, like almost, what's the term for those RPGs where it's isometric? It's like an isometric view, and you are just like going from encounter to encounter, and they're very varied. Some are puzzles, some are full battles, and some are short battles.
Some are boss fights.
Yeah. I will say there is a surprisingly low amount of standard battles in the game.
Yeah.
The standard battle is the best of 3 format, which Gwent is usually done in.
Yes. Yeah.
And I am 20 hours in, coming to the end of the game, and I honestly would say standard battle is 15% of the battles. It's incredibly low. And I do like the puzzles, and I do like the short battles because they're kind of more focused on deck building.
Yeah, they're a little more freeform.
But it got to the point sometimes where I got so into like auto playing in my mind that it's a short battle that I forgot.
Me too.
There was one time where the enemy passed. I was like, "What are you doing? Why are you passing?" And I just like put all my cards down. I was like, "Idiot!"
I did exactly that.
And then it was like round 2. I was like, "Oh shit! I forgot there's standard battles in the game."
Yep. Yeah.
And I do think it's a shame standard battles are so rare because, in my opinion, they are the best battles. The whole resource management of like how many cards should I dedicate towards this? Should I tap out? I kind of thought that was the heart of the strategy in Gwent, and they just haven't focused very much on it, and I don't know why. It doesn't bother me that much because I just enjoy other things in the game. It just seems like a weird decision to really deviate from the core of how Gwent works in favor for other formats.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's to sort of get you thinking about Gwent, like the possibilities of the cards, to sort of train you for the standalone, multiplayer game. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Yeah.
There
is a versus AI thing you can do right at the camp, I think.
Yes, I think so. I haven't done it.
Okay, I haven't touched it either.
And I also think the pacing of the first chunk of the game isn't very good. Because in the part you were in, your deck pretty much stays the same for like 7 hours.
Yeah.
And it takes like 10 to 15 hours before they really start to dish out a lot of cards and you are making your own deck. For a while, you are just using the deck the game has given you. And it does get a little bit repetitive.
Yeah, I've just gotten to the point where I'm starting to get some choice in what I have for cards.
Yeah.
Which is nice, yeah.
That part's really fun when you feel like you're making the deck.
Yeah. I was going to say also regarding the puzzle encounters, the ones that I've done so far, I like them, but I wish that I feel like it's just trial and error. I
wouldn't agree.
I feel like there's one solution for each puzzle.
Yes,
and I dislike that there's one solution because initially, and this has started to change as I am getting better about understanding what all the cards do. But initially, not being super familiar with the cards and having to really some of the descriptions are like a little confusing until you see them in play. The first sort of 5 or 6 hours of puzzles, I found them to be very much just like, I'm just going to start putting the cards down because I only have 5, and I'll find the exact specific order I have to put them down in eventually, and this sucks. But in the last couple hours, or in the last hour or so, now that I'm, like I said, I'm familiarizing myself with the cards and how to use them so that when I'm given them in the puzzle, it's like, okay, I see what your trick is now, puzzle. It's just
agree.
Initially I was pretty put off by the puzzles.
The puzzles do get better and better as you get more familiar with the game.
Yeah.
And I do believe there are sometimes multiple solutions. Definitely not always, but I've finished some puzzles with cards still left in my hand. So there's definitely multiple ways in some of them.
That's why I like the shorter battles where you get to sort of pick your deck, because it's like it's somewhere between a puzzle and a full freeform battle. Where you sort of have to be careful and you have to figure out what the trick is, but you're allowed to do it with your own sort of cards and your choices, which is nice.
I think outside of that, the only thing to talk about is, in my opinion, what has been the best and most surprising part of the game, which is the story.
Yeah.
I think
it seems pretty good.
It really is good. I mentioned it a little bit on our podcast that we recorded. It is shockingly dark at times. Like, it gets really brutal. And I think, I can't tell if it's faking it with some like trickery, but I think you do have quite a large impact on how things go.
Probably.
Obviously, I don't think there's multiple endings, but you can definitely decide the fate of characters. And where I am in the game, people are still referencing choices I made quite a while ago. And this is a really good war story. A lot of games have done depressing war stories, and some of them are just, some of them just don't handle it well and just fucking depressing. And I just don't want to be a part of it. But because you have an objective in the game, you are in the position of, I have this objective. What would I do and how far would I go to get there? And there's a lot of people doing the same thing. There's a lot of war crimes and there's a lot of hatred. And and it's kind of toe curling at times, the things people do in this.
I'm interested to see that because I haven't really gotten there yet.
And there's a lot of there's twists and turns and betrayals and all sorts, and it's just a really good medieval political war drama thing, and I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait to see where it goes. And they did a very clever thing with the game where characters in your group are cards in the game.
Yeah.
All of them. From your soldiers to the generals, they are all cards in your game. And when the story goes along, certain characters will drop off for reasons. And it might be your fault. Because there are definitely choices where the game hasn't painted it in black and white that this is between card A and B, but I can read between the lines and be like, oh god, I know if I do this, she's leaving. And if I do this, she's leaving. And there's some really fun choices where sometimes
you're thinking about your deck.
Yeah, it's a selfish choice, and I've seen people do memes about this in JRPGs where you're sad that characters die because you leveled them up. But this is kind of like Mass Effect, where you know you are losing a crew member. And you're contemplating oh god, which card do I want to sacrifice here? I love both these cards. And sometimes you just make a decision you don't see coming. And a card will leave and you're like, oh no, I love that card. What am I going to do now? And nothing gets you more attached to something than being a little bit selfish, if that makes sense. Something that you can use. It's almost like just losing an item from a game. It'd be like playing The Witcher and making a choice and you lose your sword. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm not explaining this very well.
Yeah.
But it's a unique emotional attachment thing. It's not just like killing your horse or dog in a game. You're losing a tool based on your choices.
Gameplay, yeah.
And it's just a really unique aspect to the game, and it makes you attached to the story whether you want to or not. If you were skipping through the story, you would still care because it's your tools in the game. And it's just really clever.
Exactly.
I've never seen something like that before. And it just makes you think about the story in different ways.
Yeah. I encountered a knight last night at Ike, I think is how you say his name. He's like a noble knight. He's hunting a monster in the first chapter.
Yes.
And I was like, and you have to sort of woo him to come on your side. And I'm sure you can, have that not work out.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh man, I need to get this guy. I need some more cards. Gotta play this right. So I gotta build my deck out. Okay, he's gonna, please, Sir Knight, come with us, won't you? And it's like, aha, he's been added to my deck. Now I win. The game's also really, they word it perfectly. When you make a big when you make any sort of story decision that has what I presume to mean an effect on things, it says, you have chosen one evil for another, or one evil over another, which is like perfect for the Witcher series. It's always been about grays, shades of gray.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a few things, 3 things I think for me with the game that it really impressed me. I think first, it's paced, like you said, tremendously well. I played the Banner Saga earlier this year, and I'll play the rest of them eventually, which is sort of similar to this, I feel like. It's got lots of story choices, it's got lots of narrative, and then you have, like XCOM-like battles occasionally on a sort of grid system. And so structurally, they're very similar, but the Banner Saga has like too much combat at times.
Okay, yeah.
And like the pacing is a little off with the Banner Saga, but I think Thronebreaker's pacing is really excellent. Like I never feel like there's too much of one thing. You wander around for a few minutes, you gather resources, you have a little point of interest encounter where you make a little decision like, I'll rebuild this person's house and I'll get some money or something. And then you encounter a puzzle battle and it's unique, and then you go back to wandering, and then you might do a story moment, and then you're back to wandering. Like they do a great job of, I was worried it was just going to be like Gwent,
Yes.
Gwent, over, go. But it's every time you're playing Gwent, it feels unique. Like they've designed so many unique scenarios around it. And it's really impressive just how nicely they straddle all of these lines, and it never feels like you're doing the same thing for too long, which is impressive for a competitive card game.
I think the only thing we haven't really talked about is that it has really, really nice art.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the card art is fantastic. I even like the comic-y overworld camera view.
Yeah.
And all the little comic scenarios that pop up have good art and great voice acting. The narrator's really good.
Oh, yeah. So that ties into the 2 other things I was going to say. The first is like, it's more proof of the quality of everyone that works at CD Projekt. Like, this is a very different game from anything they've made, and it is just as good as anything else they've made. Yeah. It is like, it's super well made. The gameplay is really smart. The pacing's great, and it's got tremendous writing and really stellar voice acting. Oh, yeah. It's one of those games where, what's being said is written on text all the time on screen. And I don't want to skip forward and read it because I just want to listen to all the voice acting because it's so good.
Yes.
And it really is just like a great, not proof or reminder, but it's like, hey, here's this developer known for third-person action story games. They're making a weird isometric card game thing, and it's just as good. Like, it just proves the quality of the developers there.
Yeah.
And I also think maybe my favorite thing about it is I love how effective it all is at representing the larger picture. In that, it's a 2D game. You're top down. It's very cartoony looking. All of the fights are Gwent cards.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But I've spent enough time in the Witcher world that I know what it looks like. I know what a dumpy town in the rolling hills of the Witcher world look like, and I know what all the monsters look like and the people. And every time you encounter something in Thronebreaker, you know, it's like, oh, I did a fight against a wyvern last night, and it was like 5 cards in a shape that turned the cards into a wyvern, and I'm like, this is so weird, but it's at every point it's just enough to like perfectly evoke your like mental picturing images, you know, of like, I can see exactly what this whole thing would look like if it was The Witcher 3, you know, if it was a full 3D world. And that's really impressive.
Like, I am emotionally attached to my army because of the things they've done for me, and you never see them.
No. Yeah, they're just a number on your right hand, on your upper right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just a little triangle that turns from red to yellow to green. But I care what they think, and you just don't see them.
Yeah. And it's the same, and it's that combo of like good writing and voicing, and then like just enough sort of visual information that it evokes everything it needs to, and you're able to do the rest of the storytelling or
there's a lot of world building.
Yeah. Or visualization. You can just sort of do the rest of it in your head. And it's really cool just how evocative everything is of what would normally be like a big 3D, you know, open world game. Yeah, it's really neat. And
it's really good, yeah.
It's what, $40 I think, and it's on Steam now. I think it launched on GOG. It just launched on the consoles, I think on Tuesday as well. And yeah, like if you've ever liked the Witcher games, I mean, good lord, this is like must play if you like Witcher, the Witcher world. It seems much more sort of in line with The Witcher 2 in that it's very like world building and politics related, or you know, world status related.
I've only
in the way
played
that The Witcher 3 isn't.
Yeah, I've only played Witcher 3, so I'm seeing a lot more of the world than I have before, and I'm learning new stuff about different cultures and clans.
Yeah,
which is a nice bonus for me because I like The Witcher.
Yeah,
3.
Like I'm just about to go and meet King Demavend, and I'm like, oh, I remember him from The Witcher 2. You know.
That's when things get good.
I think he was in The Witcher 2. I could have sworn he was.
Probably.
Maybe I'm making that up. I don't know. Oh yeah. Yes, he is. Well, he's not in The Witcher 2. He's in the opening cutscene for The Witcher.
Yeah, I just left the Dwarven City, and that was the best chapter by far.
Cool. Yeah.
The dwarves are great, and there's a lot of world building for them and their strange laws and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. There's It definitely seems like more written by the people that wrote The Witcher 2. And I presume like more of The Witcher 3 writing staff is on Cyberpunk, which is not a bad thing, of course. Witcher 3 is more like intimate and personal, whereas Witcher 2 and Thronebreaker are much more like broader world building, but still excellent.
Yes,
it's just sort of a different style, and yeah, it's really really good.
I don't really have much more to say about it. Good art, surprisingly good story. I like Gwent, good puzzles, looks good game.
It's just sort of surprising how much they get out of a Gwent standalone Gwent 30-hour single player Gwent game. Like I would never have thought that would work, but
it shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't, but it does, and it works really well. And that's
really
a testament to CD Projekt, I would say. It's impressive.
They're the good boys.
They are, yeah. They know what they're doing, that's for sure. Does it tempt you at all to play multiplayer Gwent?
Maybe.
There's a lot of versus AI in the multiplayer game that I played of last year over the summer in the beta. There was a lot of pretty decent like fighting the AI that I kind of enjoyed.
Maybe.
But
we'll see.
I'm sure it's built around, buying card packs like Hearthstone,
yes,
which is
probably
kind of not appealing. Yeah. 'Tis a good one.
Yeah, ended the discussion on 2 positive notes.
Thank God.
I did it.
Negative Nancy over here. I like Fallout. I hate Hitman.
I didn't. I don't know where I stand with Fallout, but anyway, that is all when it comes to review roundups for the year. We won't be doing one for December because it's Just Cause 4, and that's kind of it. And Just Cause 4 is just Cause 3, but with a hurricane, tornado. Sorry.
Tornado. There you go. That's okay. It's okay.
So we won't be doing a discussion on that. So yeah, this is the last one for the year.
Maybe not for January either. I don't know. It's only RE2.
Just RE2. Maybe RE2.
It might be
I don't know.
It might be like a 5-hour long February roundup in March because every game in history comes out in February.
Oh yeah. Yikes. But the next video in this format will be our top 10 of 2018. We've done one every year for 6 years.
This will be our 6th year, yeah.
Yeah, we're close. I'm still in the list building process, and I still have a couple of games to give more time. But I think we're probably good to record that in like a week or so.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting one.
It is going to be an interesting one. I think it might be our most varied list ever.
Yeah, I really am curious to see where we all end up. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. But apart from that, we will see you guys then for that marathon talk, most likely.
Yep.
And thank you for listening. Bye-bye.